So I have a few questions about themes in the play that will be directed to Ben, but also so Ben and I have worked together for a long time, and I owe him a lot personally. And so as a writer, he and I think along similar lines. So when I was getting these questions together, I was thinking about Ben, but it's a discussion open to everybody, and about sort of how the ideas in the play resonate with all of you. And hopefully everybody here, well, I'll leave a lot of space for the writer, director, and actors here to fill in the blanks of where all of the stories that became this story came from. But the play depicts crypto bro, to use a reductive term, who's trying to move into a more spiritual attitude towards life. We see this kind of appeal to higher values deployed across the tech world, not just in crypto, although it does definitely happen in crypto. We have a lot of venture capital funded people who decide that somehow part of their business mission is to change the world, right? As the saying goes. I've recently been reading a lot about Adam Newman at WeWork. He was very spiritual and he lost a lot of money. So what's the difference, and again, for Ben and also everybody, what's the difference between performative spirituality and a practice that's actually going to change how you live in the world, and how is that played out in the play?
So I mean, just first of all, I mean, there are a lot of kind of real life influences on this play, but it's not depicting anyone in particular. There's kind of some SBF in here, there's some Tornado Cash, some Charlie Shrem, and a lot of different people. And I think with the spirituality aspect, with the spirituality aspect, I mean, it is a kind of satire on a lot of those kind of Silicon Valley people. But I think with Charlie, what this play is partly about is about a guy who's going from being a kind of mummy's boy to, from a nerd to being a guy who's facing prison and really thinking about what it means to be a real man. And so it might be a bit sort of cockeyed, this kind of spirituality center, but it is this manifestation of him becoming this fully fledged person. So what I would say about the kind of spirituality thing, it's kind of a joke, but it's also a real kind of journey that he's on as a person, as a man. So.
Roman, I'm curious for your take on the spirituality question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What's the difference between somebody who is performing spirituality or is, experiencing it secondhand, and somebody who's really going on a journey that's going to change how they engage in the world?
Most of the people who's thinking they're gonna, like, for example, Charlie, it's a little example of those people in the Silicon Valley, I guess, like Tesla. What is the name of the Tesla company guy owner? Musk or Gates, or all those people that thinking they, for I don't know what reason, maybe because the money or the intelligence, they're thinking the prophets, the Messiah. They're thinking they can conduce the humanity into the better place, which is most of the time is pure oligarchy, and it's not really conduce any humanity, just the rich people. So, but because again, money is spirituality, because it's an old mind. The paper doesn't work if you put it in a box, right? It's just in the moment that you put in to focus that energy, and the money is when, and the energy that you focus is spirituality. So, and the Bitcoin, at one point, is spirituality, because, I mean, is somebody show me a Bitcoin right now? I mean, it's not such a, like, So the performance of spirituality is one thing, but be a spiritual person is another thing. And this city is a lot of performance people doing spirituality. Be spirituality is just, it's be. It's just being there, you know what I mean? I don't know if that answers the question. I can show you $1, but no.
Do you want to pass the mic around? Do members of the cast want to comment on spirituality?
To your question, I don't always think it's like a strict binary when it comes to performance. I think that performative doesn't necessarily mean false, but he
Just what an actor would say.
true exactly. Exactly. But I don't think Charlie thinks he's being performative with any of this. Like clearly he's high off of like the life that he has been leading, and he's literally high in some of the scenes of this show as well. And it leads him to make these big speeches, and he thinks he's found something. You know, she's introduced him to another way of living that is familiar to a lot of my super rich friends who all of a sudden did ayahuasca or whatever and like found themselves. And it's not to say that their performative spirituality is false, but it's not necessarily constructive, if that makes sense. Like they're not necessarily making the world a better place. I generally find that anyone who thinks they're making the world a better place is not. And anybody who's just trying to do the thing that like deep down they're really, really good at generally is. So yeah, it's tough. But in Charlie's case, I really love playing in that nebulous space between is he having a spiritual breakthrough or is he just having a 48-hour manic episode?
And I think with the Sally character, with his girlfriend, I mean, there is an aspect. I mean, she's authentic, but there's some kind of manipulative aspect that in taking Charlie to this new realm of consciousness, she's kind of like there's kind of some mix between like genuine love and also hustling this family for a lot of money. So
It seems like Sally wants to say something.
No. She's like I said, she's complex. So as far as spirituality goes, I do feel like she is deeply invested in that. Before she meets Charlie, she does have these grand plans for opening a yoga center. And humans, yes, dogs, humans, all of us. And so I think she's quite genuine in that. And I do think, like outside of the script, a lot of people are quite genuine in wanting to sort of, sometimes in her particular case, you know, feeling quite lost and finding themselves in a spiritual path, because it is very compelling to want to make your life about something bigger. I think anyone could sort of latch on to that. I think she for sure has. And when she meets Charlie, he kind of places in her head, like, well, Bitcoin is actually like the real. And so she sort of merges her ideas with his ideas, I think in good intention, because she thinks, on one hand, yes, this will get my yoga center off the ground. But on the other hand, like, there is something to that. Like, financially free person could very well be a spiritually free person. You quite literally have to pay for a yoga class, and you have to pay to donate to people who need help. And so there is a monetary aspect of spirituality that I think she eventually comes to terms in response to, from a genuine, very, very genuine place.
I appreciate the spirit with which that was delivered. So we will, by the way, Ben, do we have a hard out time here, or are we good?
keep going for a bit.
Okay, so we will have a Q&A for members of the audience. Just a couple more questions to kind of float around the group here. So again, starting with Ben, the play is about this moment where somebody is going to prison. And going to, like, in crypto, as in certain other communities, going to jail has a particular and perhaps unusual, complicated connotation. And because there are people who are involved in the stuff that we do who have gone to prison because they did very bad things. and genuinely bad things and hurt a lot of people. But there are also people who have gone to prison for what we might consider not so bad things, or even in some cases good things. And so, what is Charlie's situation relative to his trip to prison, and what is that? How does that play out in terms of the themes of the play and the message you were trying to get across? Like, is it? Are you a bad person if you're going to jail?
No, I think we very deliberately didn't want Charlie to be like an SBF character, even though he has aspects with his parents of SBF situation. But his
Great
crime,
casting, by the way.
his crime is such as it is very kind of morally ambiguous, right? So he created some code in the early days of Bitcoin, 2011, 2012, which was appropriated by North Korean intelligence to launder some money, which paid for an attack on the U.S. embassy in Seoul. But he, you know, the question in the play is he actually,
NBD.
is he actually blameworthy for that code that he created? And this, I hope, kind of goes back to many cases in crypto and wider technologies, including the Telegram case recently with Pavel Durov. The question there is, like, is this guy culpable for stuff that goes on Telegram? And it's the same with this code. So we set it up at the beginning of the play that he's very much like created this code, but is he responsible for what happens with this code? And that's kind of the setup.
And we see that play out with Charlie's kind of insistence that he's going to prison kind of as a martyr, I guess, right? I don't know.
I actually say that he doesn't have to be a martyr. He needs to be smart earlier on in the play. So that would make sense.
So another really interesting play, or really interesting decision that you made with the writing of the play was that Charlie's parents, the Schwags, Mr. and Mrs. Schwag, are very clearly, and like in a way that actually is like beyond the real stories that this is inspired by, are very much old money, right? They literally are like the frontiers people, the developers, whatever. And I think that it is maybe one of the most interesting things in the play to me, because a lot of the rhetoric around crypto and Bitcoin has to do with like, it's the new frontier, it's new money, it's like overturning all of the old institutions, all of the old everything, and it's a financial revolution, right? We say financial revolution a lot, but sort of implicit in the structure of what you've written here is that new money comes from old money. So can you talk a little bit about that kind of decision as a writer, and what maybe lessons we should take in the real world from that part of the play?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much a kind of generational clash here, and I think that's exactly right. What you said is like, you know, we like to think about Bitcoin coming from this kind of garage of young people, but often it comes from people who, you know, come from money. So, you know, there's this kind of clash between new money that he's created and out of Bitcoin, but he comes from a very traditional setup. His father is a college professor from Connecticut, and his brother is you know, part of the old guard. So it's kind of the clash of the old world and the new world.
Clash, but also descendants, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the parents, they're middle class people.
No, not middle class, my friend.
Middle class privilege and high, you know what I mean? Rich probably, but for middle class, and it's always like some kind of mythology, like the garage dream, right? The people make everything in the garage, like, you know, the Apple guy, what was the name? And also,
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, but in reality, all those people, when you investigate it, they're coming from like middle class rich people. But the mythology is like,
Yeah.
oh, they started in the garage, and there was very poor people, and Tesla. I mean, now again, Elon Musk, the father.
Yeah, exactly.
The father and the grandfather.
He's a perfect
rich
example for
people.
everything.
Yeah. But the press and the narrative of the social media and the communication always try to sell into us like, hey, they can do it, you can do it. And if you can do it, you fall. And then what happened? We have more therapists and more sick people. Six society, make 6 presidents, 6 service, and everything, you know, yeah. But yeah, I guess the mythology of like these people that start from the bottle is a mythology.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I won't give away the ending of the play, but it's very much like this clash of the old world, which is represented by Barbara here, and she's friends with Bill Clinton. He's kind of this baby boomer generation, and then you have this kind of younger generation as well. So it's like, who's going to take control at the end of the play is the question.
So who is going to take control of the end of the play? Let's throw it to the audience. Do we have questions from the room? Mark.
Hi, congratulations, Ben. Who was the inspiration for the ne'er-do-well brother?
Well, actually, I thought about the brother from my own brother, and I went to a trip to England, and we had a bit of an argument, my brother and I. He's my older brother, and he was kind of pushing me around, and I thought about a younger brother who was kind of standing up to his older brother and also to his family, and it was kind of the inspiration. So, yeah. And
What a very literal answer.
it was a little round, you know. My brother, you know, I've been in crypto for 10 years, and he's always like having a go at me for like Bitcoin's environmental impact. You know, how can you believe in climate change if you also into crypto and this kind of thing? And it's like, so it's at the beginning of the play, the setup is like this younger brother being kind of assailed by this older brother who's kind of cocky and pushing him around. So
Yeah, I would have guessed Billy Carter.
that could also be, yeah.
Other questions from the room? Here you go.
From the small sample size that I got, I think it's excellent narrative. Like the whole idea, it's so perfectly timed for this time right now.
Thank you.
As far as like, what I connected with in the small little bit that I saw is I think Sally is like a really good vehicle for everything that makes my eyes roll in the aspect of trying to virtue signal your way out of something that might be morally corruptible through the idea of spirituality. You know what I'm saying? And not because she's doing it maybe possibly with any intention to do it. She's naturally very vacuous. And that vacuous type of character somehow lends hand to the tech world because they share that commonality in that way, right? So that's why it's kind of a cliche, and you're playing with that. And I think that was really well done. And I'll leave you with that. Not really a question, but like a summation.
Thank you.
Well, man, I will just say, Adam Newman, read the WeWork books. It's incredible. Like, that will connect in a way that you don't even understand. But okay, yeah. What about is spirituality vacuous?
Anyone want to comment on that?
Is spirituality vacuous?
Or it's a bit of a broad question.
Sorry, I did not represent your question well.
I don't know. I think it's neutral the same way that like crypto's neutral, right? It just depends on how you're going to use it.
But that question of like spirituality being this kind of legitimizing free zone of morality, something.
Yeah, but
wasn't to say that spirituality is inherently vacuous. Of course not. I'm
Yeah.
a spiritual being. I think we all are. But it's just like the intention that are usually used wind up like the director was saying. He's like, who is it benefit in the end? Look at the bottom line. And it's like, did you really make the world better? I mean, there's a plastic ring around the world right now, and like there's bombs being dropped on babies. And but somehow, like, we come up with these like apps, tech startups, VR, AI, whatever the fuck it is, and it's just like, it's always like they'll put a shield in front of it, saying some shit about like we're making humanity better. Smile, you know what I'm saying? I think you gotta understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
I mean, it's definitely there.
You know what I'm saying? I like to watch the whole play and see if that you keep touching on that.
Well, please come next week. I mean, what Barbara and Sally share is the same kind of like messianic ideal, but she comes at it from a more classical like philanthropy background, like the Clinton Foundation, and Sally comes at it from this kind of more modern, like New Age spirituality dimension. But they're kind of both bullshitting in a way, you know. So, yeah.
We had another question over here.
So I really enjoyed just the writing and everything about this. I was very curious about the writer's Bitcoin story. How did this inspire this writing?
Bitcoin story, what do you mean?
Meaning how you learned about Bitcoin, how you began to believe in Bitcoin.
I mean, I was into Bitcoin like in 2013. I'm a journalist. I started writing about it, and I think with the Bitcoin in the play, it's not maybe literally Bitcoin, the chain or the asset. It's about the kind of bigger message of crypto being a new way to conceptualize the world, and that's what Charlie's doing with Sally. Is he's combining his ideas about this new world that we're moving towards with the spiritual dimension. So it's like Bitcoin meets spirituality. So in my own life, you know, I'm into the financial aspects of crypto, but it's really about this kind of world that we're in that's changing, and it's changing because of technology, but also a lot of other kind of forces that are at play in the world that's kind of coming together.
I think we definitely have time for some more questions, and I saw a couple more hands. Did I see others? Maybe not. Oh, Mark, one more.
Title.
Happenstance?
Yeah.
Well, the notion of happenstance is this idea of coincidence and also of how Charlie and Sally meet by happenstance, and there's also a meeting between the parents here and Charlie. It was also happenstance. This kind of notion of fate, but also it's also a question in the play about whether they did really meet by fate or whether it was more designed. So it's like a question. I don't know. It's a sort of dilemma about life. Do things happen by chance, or do they happen by design?
Did I see another question over here? Oh, I thought I saw a hand. Okay. Well, so thanks everybody for all of your questions, and I think we are going to wrap it up unless, oh wait, so just to make sure, the opening night is next Wednesday, the 23rd? Oh, I think we have an expert here.
Yes. It'll be at the Crane Theater next Wednesday, 23rd, 7 p.m.
Seats currently still available, a few, so get them now. For Happenstance by Ben Schiller and Roman Aver.